Are you still up to doing those kinds of pointless things? You can hate each other to death and you can try to wash blood with blood, but you just can't halt the change of the times. You should try becoming more like the PeaceMaker.
Yeah, come on! You gotta be so! Yeah, come on!
Hello and welcome to a review of PeaceMaker Kurogane, an anime adaptation from 2003 based off a manga of the same name. PeaceMaker is set in the early 19th century during the Meiji period, a time in which Japan would go through a major change in social structure. We are introduced to Tetsunosuke Ichimura, a young, energetic, but determined boy, trying to join the Shinsengumi, a special police force working under the military government. He is stopped by his older brother, Tatsunosuke Ichimura. Over time, we learn the two boys' parents were murdered by a member of a rebel clan known as the Choshu. Tetsu, having seen the deaths of his parents firsthand, believes if he can join the Shinsengumi, he can eventually be given the opportunity to avenge both of his parents' deaths. They later meet Soji Okita, the Shinsengumi's first unit captain. Soji recognizes Tetsu's determination and allows him to spar against him. Through this, and after the match, the two grow a bond. Toshijo Hijikata, the second vice commander, sees this bond and allows Tetsu to join out of consideration from Soji, not as a full-fledged Shinsengumi, but as his own personal page. While this generally would make Tetsu his right-hand man, he is treated more or less as the Shinsengumi's chore boy. As he continues to stay, he learns that his ambition, while yes, may lead him to be a warrior, but will also lead him down the road of becoming a full-fledged demon, seeking nothing but revenge. This continues to eat at him throughout the series, questioning if he should become something he knows he shouldn't be, or become, as his father wanted, a peacemaker. Tetsu can be a troublemaker at times, pushing off his duties and getting easily distracted, ultimately ending up doing what he wants instead. Because of this and other events, he meets other members of the Shinsengumi and those living out in the village. Through these characters, Tetsu grows, understanding more about how the world really is, all coming back to him questioning what he really wants. Because of this, the series stays episodic for most of its run. While that was fine for the first half, helping us establish these characters and the world as a whole, I really started to question when the series was truly going to delve into its story. Thankfully, it picks up and ending on a high note, but I would have liked to have seen more conclusions to some of the side characters and their own storylines.
Sir, my name is Tatsunosuke Ichimura. I just signed up today.
Tatsu is pretty much the opposite of Tetsu. He's responsible, respectful, and always looking out for his little brother. After the deaths of his parents, Tatsu takes it upon himself to raise Tetsu the best he can. While Tetsu is Hijikata's page, Tatsu works as a bookkeeper for the Shinsengumi. But even there, Tatsu is usually overly worried over the safety of his brother. Which it's pretty funny hearing Vic play as a responsible older brother for once.
If you just ask if he's Tatsunosuke Ichimura, then there won't be any mistake. I'm begging you, before Tetsu, my poor younger brother, travels down an erroneous path!
He continues to want his brother to be safe, hoping he would give up this mindset of avenging their parents' deaths, which generally makes him the voice of reason for Tetsu.
Thank you for your patience. I'm the first unit captain, Soji Okita.
Soji is very relaxed, comforting, and an overall joyful character. As one of the higher-up captains, he also acts as a mentor to Tetsu. But in an instant, he can change his entire demeanor into a serious killer. Hijikata, on the other hand, is very cold and serious at almost all times, showing very few moments of compassion to anyone around him. He sees few people around him as an actual friend, Soji being one of them. While we see both of them throughout the series, very little is actually known about their pasts, or why they're as close as they really are. Something I feel we should have learned more about given how much we see them in the series. PeaceMaker was animated by Studio Gonzo, a studio notorious for either making amazing or completely disappointing shows, which can also be said about how they animate their shows too. Thankfully, PeaceMaker looks very good overall, both during and out of action sequences. The art style gives off this watered down look, which really helps with the dark and very serious moments. Throughout watching, I noticed few moments of any dip in quality, all staying very consistent. All the character designs stood out and were unique to each other too, except for Hijikata and a Choshu member named Yoshida. I felt they looked too similar to each other, to the point where I questioned who was on screen, Hijikata or Yoshida. The animation during the action scenes were slick and flowed well, especially with the amount of blood shown. Even the few moments where CGI was used, I felt it worked and I welcomed its inclusion. The music is varied, hosting music filled with joy, then those filled with nothing but sadness. And yes, I am saying this right now, but PeaceMaker's soundtrack has the making of being one of my favorites. Some of these songs are just beautiful. What was surprising to me though was the amount of electric guitar used in the soundtrack. It worked really well, especially used in a song named Miyoko Kisukyo. This is a song used in some of the more serious and depressing scenes, perfectly capturing the tone in those particular moments. Special shout out to the opening theme, You're Gonna Feel, by Have, being a song that always excited me at the beginning of every episode. The soundtrack overall was very solid, but there is one song that stands out and can really hurt PeaceMaker at times, and that song is Senyu. This song is very basic and not pleasant to listen to, and it really becomes a drag, especially with how much they like to reuse it. The dub is a mixed bag. Having been a dub made by the now past ADV Films, the dub sports very solid performances by Lucy Christian, Vic Mignogna, Braden Hunt, Greg Ayers, and Mike McRae. Which, Hijikata being the very first time I have ever heard him, I hope this isn't the last, because I really enjoyed his performance. However, the dub has one glaring problem with it, and that problem is...
Well, I can't cut corners with my cooking. Not for two darling recruits.
Two recruits? I'm darling. Last night and again today, my mouth stayed shut because I figured you for some sort of brat.
Not at all. You were oh so terribly gallant. You've truly stolen my heart.
Yes, a large majority of the nameless characters sound like they have southern accents, even though they're all Japanese living in Japan. I would say you get used to it, but you really don't. Having watched some of PeaceMaker in sub though, I can still say the Japanese dub is still very good in case you just want to stick with it instead. In conclusion, PeaceMaker is a show that teaches the importance of one's humanity. It's filled with many memorable characters that I personally have really become attached to over the course of watching it. With an ending, while satisfying, keeps you wanting more. Thankfully, you can get more, but only in the manga format. Yes, there is a sequel manga to the series taking place 3 years later. Hopefully, if I get around to reading it, I'll come back with my thoughts on it. But with this anime adaptation, I give PeaceMaker Kurogane an 8.15 out of 10. Thank you all so much for watching this video anime review. If you enjoyed this video, please like or dislike below. As you all know, this was the first time for me to make an anime review, and because of that, this is very much still a work in progress. And your feedback could very much help me for future anime reviews, be it good or bad. Once again, thank you all so much for watching, and until next time.